Hello grapplers and welcome to a new Zangief video. Today we're gonna talk about the air normals. We're gonna touch everything that is air to air, not anti-airs, just things you can do in the air. Jumping light punch, 5-framer. It's active for 7 frames and it has a landing recovery of 3 frames, which is the usual in this game. Mostly the usual for Zangief and most characters. Technically not used for anything but air to air. It's surprisingly good. If you're looking for a button that allows you to jump back and press it, you know, in order to catch people trying to cross you up, this is possibly the best button. Look at this hitbox. Absolutely fantastic. Just be careful, as always, if you catch someone and they fall first, you're gonna be minus. This is something that is pretty normal with jumping normals. Also remember, and this is for every single button, landing frames are punish counterable. If you don't want to press any buttons, let's say you're escaping the corner, just jump. Just jump. This is safer than pressing a button. Now, jumping medium punch. As you can see, it's an 8-framer. It's active for 5 frames. This one is a little harder to use. The only real use this move has is for safe jumps. It has a pretty decent hitbox. Still, it's not really one of those buttons you want to use because you have better ones. In general, this is a button to use for setups, specifically safe jumps against armor moves or very specific safe jumps. And now, jumping heavy punch. It's 9 frames. It's active for 6 frames. This is something you might use to get in, which means jumping forwards. Now, depending on when you land the attack, you're gonna be either +7 or +10, I think. I think +11 is the maximum you're gonna be. Yeah, +11. This is on block. On hit, obviously the numbers change a little bit. You always get a headbutt. Well, we're talking about air to air, so basically stomp people with that thing. You hit them and you dunk them. The worst you can be is +16 and the best is +21, if I'm correct. It's not necessarily the best Oki, because remember Zangief's dash is 22 frames and drive rush, depending on the distance, might not be useful. It's a very specific just walk and try to keep the pressure kind of thing. I would say the biggest issue with this button is, and this has been memed to death, but yeah, the hitbox is kind of strange. If you look at this, there's nothing going on over here. This button needs some fixing. So I don't know what they were thinking with this. They need to add at least a hitbox until this point, so you are guaranteed to hit everyone when jumping. And Zangief has 5 pre-jump frames, so it's not like Luke or Ken neutral jumping heavy punches. Jumping like it. A big difference between this one and this one is the amount of active frames. This one is active for 10 frames, which means you can use it for certain very specific situations. Does not have a good hitbox in the air. We're gonna see that in a few moments. It's one of Zangief's cross-ups. In terms of crossing people up, this button has a really big tendency to whiff. As you saw right there, it does not have the best hitbox for crossing up. Unless you hit someone deep, you're not gonna be plus. You're gonna be 0, as you can see here. So you have to delay it a little bit to be at least +1 or +2. Let's say JP, and this is something that Kobayan uses a lot. Let's say JP throws the portal and he wants to basically teleport. Kobayan always jumps back basically the active frames. It's active for a long time, so it's very likely you'll catch people in the air. Same with Kimberly when she goes for teleport. Likely you're gonna catch her in the air. Since it's active for so long, you'll catch certain buttons in the air. Jumping medium kick. Probably your best jump-in button overall. I like how it looks. It's an 8-frame move with 8 active frames, so it's a lot. It's active for a lot. Compared to this one, active for 5 frames, this is 8 frames. Very, very good at jumping in, especially against fireballs. If you jump really high, you're gonna be +4 to +5. Something deeper is up to +8 or +9, sorry. If you're jumping in, you have enough frames to do a health stab because you're either +9 to +12. So it's pretty decent to do this combo. This is a classic. This is not bad. Still, you can do a lot of things with this button in the air. Usually you hit people with this. This is meant to be a jump in button. The hitbox and hurt boxes are really tight. However, you can still beat certain buttons at certain ranges and with certain timing, like crouching heavy punch from Guile or Marisa. Depending on the timing, you can either win or trade. So this is really a good... It's your best jump in button. You have to use it a lot when you try to move forwards and try to catch the opponent. Jumping heavy kick. This is the slowest of all the jumping normals. At 10 frames. Active for 7 frames. This is something I use a lot with Zangief. As you can see, very likely you're gonna be plus. As a jump in, it's not the best, more range than jumping heavy punch. But the things you get are very specific. Usually, even with the highest one, you're gonna be plus 8. As you can see here, it is very simple to be plus 8. If you're really plus 8, this is something I like to do sometimes. You have a guaranteed Russian suplex attempt. It is the easiest button on block to go for that. Otherwise, you're plus 8. That means the classics. You can frame trap with 1 frame with a standing medium punch. Or just continue your pressure with crouching medium punch. The deeper the jump, the better the frames, as always. However, it's kind of hard to time this one to be anything more than plus 10. We can certainly do so. The best use for this button is an air-to-air. It's pretty decent. You can jump forwards if you see them jumping. Sometimes you're plus 12, plus 11. It is not the best button to go for headbutt. I'm not counting the air drop kick because this is technically not an air-to-air. The quick version is, if you hit someone punish counter, you can follow up with a combo. If you don't, you can follow them up. As you can see, this is full screen, so there's not much to do. Either you drive rush or you're trying to jump forwards or something. Used for faking, parry, buffering the recovery frames into something like a dash. But we're not gonna consider that one. That's just an overview of the air drop kick. Body splash. Oh baby. This is a 9 framer. Active for 9 frames. So it's 99. Basically, use it for cross-ups. That's it. You can do it neutral jumping, which is strange, and back jumping. Very unique to Street Fighter 6. As a cross-up, it guarantees you a headbutt. And if they block it, the headbutt is a frame trap all the time. I don't have much to say about this. This is a jump-in kind of button. It's not necessarily air-to-air. The hurt box is kind of bad. If for some reason you've been trying to hit people with this, especially escaping the corner, and they hit you, it's because of this. We'll trade with certain cross-up moves. Like if they're waking up and they guess the right direction, they're gonna hit you with a reversal. We have neutral headbutt, jumping headbutt. It's active for 4 frames and it's an 8 framer again. We're gonna look at the hitbox right away because the hitbox is kind of huge. It's actually pretty decent. Now the problem is not the hitbox. The hitbox is great. The problem is the range. That is why you rarely see Zangief players use this, because the range is awful. This is kind of ridiculous. You're still not hitting them. They have to press a button. Look at this madness. It has to be a very specific situation. You have to be right next to them, or they have to be, or maybe they're in the corner and trying to jump forwards, and you're just at the range to do this. That's the best case scenario. I was trying to use this as a proper air-to-air. It was a really tight anti-air, but it's really hard to use it. The regular hit gives a small bounce, which allow you to have a really huge amount of plus frames, if I'm being honest. So here you can even dash if you want, and still be plus somewhat. Or you can even drive rush and still continue the pressure. Or you can even in some cases jump forwards and still be plus. So making technically this your best damaging air to air. Now here the Oki is kind of bad. You're plus 19, which means you have to drive rush. You do have a drive rush. You're a little bit closer, so you can drive rush and hit them with the full target combo. Or you can make them guess with SPD. You know, the usual setups for Zangief after drive rush. Unless you're ending the round or you really want the life lead, I don't feel this is worth it. Borscht. Borscht is kinda strange in this game. The problem with Borscht is the range. Basically a 4 framer but you have to take into consideration, and that is something I haven't done with the rest of the moves, but you have to take into consideration the pre-jump frames. In a Street Fighter 5, you could do this and catch the opponent right away. Here, you cannot. Not even the OD version. So if you want to catch people air to air, you have to delay the Borscht, and that opens you up for air attacks. If you want to catch them, you have to jump with them. OD has a little more range. As you can see here, I don't have to jump forwards that much with them. OD Borscht is mostly reserved for combos and some really hard reads. I would recommend against using regular Borscht. This is not a good move unless you have a super clean read. This is not a good idea. OD Borscht is the best one even for jumping with them, so you have more range. This is mainly used for combos. For those combos, you have to go for the instant OD Borscht. Those are Zangief's air-to-airs. They're pretty decent if I'm being honest. I hope I can see you in the next video. Remember that I stream on twitch.tv/Kirubu with 2 P's. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.